There are two kinds of people in this world, the ones who follow the grain and the ones willing to go against it. Welcome to Against the Grain. Business lessons, life, and liquor served one cocktail at a time. Tonight's drink is poured. Let's see where the conversation takes us.
This is Against the Grain, episode 1. This is actually take 2 of episode 1. We had a little mishap I'll tell you about here in a minute. But this is our inaugural launch of the Against the Grain podcast. And the whole podcast is launched, at least initially, in support of my new book, which is also called Against the Grain. And the subtitle of the book is Business Lessons from the Still. And the whole premise of the book is that hey, these backwoods moonshiners and bootleggers and other lawbreakers, doing what they do, but they also have some pretty good business chops and, have some good lessons to learn from them. So that was really the premise of the book. And like I say, we're launching this podcast in support of the book. So with me on the show is my co-host, Nic Hess. Hello, Nic.
Hey, how are you? Good to be here.
Good. It's good to have you here. So a little bit about Nic and why he's here. So I'm obviously here because I wrote the book, but I asked Nic to be my co-host because the book itself, again, is called Against the Grain. The podcast is called Against the Grain, and the whole sort of central theme is not doing things sort of normal, kind of dancing to your own beat, not following the well-trodden path, doing something new. And that's what entrepreneurs, a lot of leaders, people who create and bring new products to the markets, that's what they're doing. They're not following the crowd, right? They're doing something new and unique. And so Nic is one of those people that I know that in a good way goes against the grain about as hard as anyone I know. So that's why he's here. He's also been very successful in business. So, and full disclosure, Nic is also my son-in-law. So there you go. There's the whole thing. Anything you care to add to that, Nic?
No, I think that's pretty well encompassing of me, I'd say.
So this show, we're going to be feeling our way through a little bit. I'm going to set things up here a little bit. We're going to, at least for the first few episodes, we're going to kind of follow loosely along with the book. Starting with this episode, we'll be kind of but we're using the preface of the book as sort of the groundwork for this episode of the podcast. But otherwise, what we'll do is with each episode, we'll start off by telling you what we're having to drink while we do the episode. So we want to have this last about as long as it takes you to finish a drink or a cocktail. So we'll tell you what we're having. I'll share the recipe for it on the website. And sometimes it'll be kind of standard drink. Sometimes it'll be kind of unique. Today, since this is our inaugural launch of the Against the Grain podcast, we're just having straight up moonshine. I've got a multi-grain moonshine here that I made, and having it neat. And what are you having, Nic?
Same. It's multi-grain. It's someone I know very special to me made it. It's grapefruit flavored. It's very good.
All right, good deal. Good deal. So we'll have, I actually have the multigrain mash recipe in the book, not just business lessons in there, but I also include some mash recipes and a lot of cocktail recipes as well. And even then, Nic, when we're presenting those things in the book, I'm trying to extract business lessons from each of them. So I'm going to have a little sip here before we get going.
Cheers.
Cheers. And I'm setting it way over to the side because what happened in take 1 of the podcast, I was talking with my hands and knocked my glass over and spilled it all over. And in the process of cleaning up, I actually stopped recording and didn't realize it. So we've got to do the whole show all over again. So this is take 2. So Nic, if it stinks, that's just us.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be an improvement.
Yeah, it should be. So we'll see. But what we'll otherwise do, so like I said, we'll start introducing drinks at the beginning of the show, but then the show structure will kind of follow a format that loosely follows the format of each chapter of the book. In each chapter of the book, there's a primary subject of the chapter, of course, but fairly early on in each chapter, there is a sip of what's to come, and the sip is kind of a point to ponder, something to think about. So we'll do that with the show, and then we'll talk, and then we'll get to in each chapter it gets to what we've called the proof, and the proof is something a little more actionable based on the contents of the chapter, and we'll do a real similar format of the show, and then we'll actually wrap things up with a segment that we're calling Nick's Mash. And that's an opportunity, Nick, for you to just kind of freestyle and say whatever's on your mind relative to the show or not. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. Well, let's get things underway. So for this episode, the sip is that, going against the grain makes you deliberate, not difficult. A lot of times, why can't you just do what you're told, which is basically, why can't you just follow the grain, right? So when you go against the grain, it isn't necessarily to be difficult or to be kind of a butt, right? it's because you're thinking about doing something in a different way, perhaps a better way, or perhaps with a better outcome, or something that perhaps you can do better. Maybe no one else can do it that way, but you can't do it the way everyone else is doing it, right? So that's what going against the grain is all about. So what do you think about that, Nick?
I am a firm believer in being against the grain, for sure. I think that the longer you're in a role or in a job, the harder it is to go against the grain, just because processes become concrete. So you always have to be mindful of how you can impact decisions, meetings, and however you can. And I like to think that one of the best ways to do that is by going against the grain.
Yeah, as we, like you said, as we kind of get more comfortable in whatever it is we're doing, and this happens to a lot of people, just start doing it out of habit, right? And, one of the pet peeves that I've always had professionally is hearing someone say, that's the way we've always done it. Why are you doing it this way? It's the way we've always done it. That drives me nuts.
It's not an answer. It's a non-answer to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the other thing that kind of is tied to that, you hear people say, but it works, and that could very well be true. But what's also is true is nothing is perfect, right? The first take of this episode, I spilled my drink everywhere, right? We had some good conversation that, had we been recording it, would have made a good podcast, but we didn't, right? So nothing is perfect. And there's always room for improvement, even if it's a tiny improvement. Something can always be better.
Yeah. I mean, before cars, everybody was walking or riding a bike or riding horses, and we would be stuck in the Stone Ages if everybody followed that policy.
Yeah. Yeah, plus the aliens brought us a lot of advanced technology that helped us along there. So
That's correct. They absolutely did.
I didn't think I'd get an alien comment in here, but I did. That's
Well, maybe we should try to get one on every episode. We try to bring aliens into it somehow.
maybe that's
Or
our
we could start a
challenge.
different podcast.
Yeah. Aliens against the grain.
Yeah, that's right.
So- It'll show right after. It'll air right after Ancient Aliens or something.
No, we got to be careful. We're going to be infringing on somebody's trademark if History Channel's going to
Yeah.
be knocking on our door here shortly.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Well, we don't have the hair for doing an alien show, I guess. Hey, Nick. So we talked about you are somebody that goes against the grain. I've also been somebody that's always gone against the grain, and I talk about this in the beginning of the book where. Just even as a little kid, my heroes were like Batman and Bruce Wayne, certainly somebody that went against the grain, right? He was a very rich guy and could have been hanging out with these millionaire, billionaire friends, floating around on a yacht, going to the fancy parties and things like that. But instead, he hung out in a cave down below his mansion with another little guy wearing tights and fighting crime at night, right? So certainly somebody that went against the grain of what you would see as being what you would expect out of somebody that was in his position. And I've always been drawn to characters like that just do things a little bit differently than anyone else. Sometimes with a good moral compass, like Batman. Sometimes with not so much of a good moral compass, like Raylan
Joker.
Givens as well, maybe not. So, he's not such a great example, but maybe like Tony Soprano in The Sopranos, right? So
Gotcha.
just do things a little bit differently.
I would say that that's a little different. Yeah, at least different than I'm used to. But
Yeah.
who knows? He might have been a game changer in the mob scene.
Well, he certainly did things differently. Like just the simple example in the show, which I really miss. It's been off the air for a long time, and James Gandolfini is long passed away. But the character Tony Soprano, the show starts right off the bat with him going to therapy. Right, he's had an anxiety attack, and he's in therapy. And mobsters don't go to therapy, right? And so he was already doing things a little bit differently because he couldn't stay in his position of control and power if he was having panic attacks in front of his guys, right? So in front of his crew. So he had to figure something out. So that was the solution. There
I've
you
only
go.
seen one episode of The Sopranos, so and it was the episode he is talking to his therapist. So
Yeah. Well, you're missing out. You should binge it sometime. So pretty good stuff. But that's a little bit about me and my background going against the grain. How about you, Nick? What do you think it was that kind of turned you into a go against the grain kind of guy? Have you always been that way? When did you realize that that's the type of person you are?
well, I think at a very young age, I realized that I was always going to be doing things different than normal. But in a business context, when I first started my sales career at Verizon, I it was mandatory to use their sales process, their super boxed in, ask these questions at this time sales process. And after my first year there, I did it. Second year, I started doing my own thing, loosened it up a little bit, and I actually led the entire company in total sales volume that year. And that afforded me an opportunity to help create the next sales process that's still in use today. So I would say that's pretty ingrained in my spirit in pretty much every aspect of my life.
Yeah, just look for a different way to do things. Like I said, you're maybe the goal or objective of whatever it is you're doing isn't any different, but how you get there, how you accomplish those goals can be dramatically different, right? So we're
Correct.
not all cut from the same cloth. We're not all able to follow the crowd.
Yeah, but also, I mean, what worked for me might not have worked for everybody else. But I think that's kind of the lesson, though. You got to find what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. It works for me, might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me, and so you've got to find your own way. Just trying to be a copycat, it's like being a real good karaoke singer, right? So what? You had a good night in the karaoke club, but maybe it got you a free beer, right?
If people aren't
Didn't
paying
get
to
you a
see you
record.
sing.
That's right. Didn't get you a record contract. All right. So that's a great story about your professional turning point. What made you realize that that's how you're going to approach your career? Kind of for me, the first conscious moment that I had that maybe I don't do things the same way other people do was when I was in high school, and I don't know if recruiters still do it, but military recruiters used to call high school kids, seniors in high school, kind of relentlessly trying to get folks to volunteer to join the military. And I had a recruiter that was calling me and talking about scholarships and all that kind of thing, and going to college on an Army scholarship. And I actually thought about it for a moment. I thought, that's probably not a good path for me. And so I told him, I was just going to go my own way and put myself through school. He asked me how I was going to fund it, and I said I was going to do it myself. And and he said, "Well, John, you're just the kind of guy that tells me you're going to go off and do this on your own. Then a year later, you come back." And he didn't say crawling back, but that's what he was implying. And I just thought, you know, F you, buddy. That's not me. I will find a way. And so, by hook or by crook, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to come crawling back to anybody on it. And so after I got off the phone, that's when I think I first consciously thought, I'm probably not like everyone else. I do things a little bit differently, and my entire career has been kind of like that. I just do things a little bit differently. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's not good. Right.
I think I agree with you, but I think that the problems that you get aren't necessarily from the problems that you've created. It's problems that someone else has with how you're doing things.
Yeah.
Like there are some folks in life that refuse to be questioned or do things differently, and um, that they'll definitely get you into trouble.
Yeah, it's been a lot of years, but I have had some bosses that were like that. They were very stuck in, it's this, and it's this, and didn't matter if I was having success or not. I wasn't doing it their way, and thankfully that's been few and far between in my career, and it's been a lot of years since I bumped up against that, but it's frustrating when you do. It's like, well, look what I achieved. Well, I don't care. It's how you got there that bothers me.
But it is a good thing too.
What's that?
I mean, I've literally built my career on it. But I mean, like we talked about in the first take, um, as long as you can back it up, right? So I mean, that's one thing I said is as long as you can always land the plane, um, you're good.
Get those passengers to the gate safely and on time,
That's right. Always land the plane.
huh? All right, Nick. So I think we're going to start wrapping some things up for this first episode. We promised, we'd start with a sip, which we did, and we'd kind of near conclusion with a proof. So sort of the proof of the preface of the book is this. It's really kind of a challenge, and that is for anyone that might be listening this week. What I want you to do is to identify, kind of one place in your business, your career, your life, whatever. One thing that you're working with the grain. You're working with the grain, and you're doing it kind of just out of habit. You're just sort of on autopilot. Everybody else is doing this way, and so am I. But you're not really doing it with conviction. So think about what that is, name it, and then decide whether it deserves to stay. Sometimes it's okay to go with the grain, right? Like you and I had talked earlier, Nick, or off of this podcast. If you're a brain surgeon, and you're operating on my brain, I don't want you going off the beaten path. I want you to do what you're trained to do, right? So it's not always a bad thing at all to go with the grain. But think about when you are going with the grain just out of habit. And do you need to keep doing that? So that's the challenge that we're putting out with the proof. And now I can hear some music in the background, Nick, which is indicating that it's time for Nick's
It's
match.
the Isley Brothers.
Nick,
The Isley Brothers are playing.
it's not the Isley Brothers, but I can hear the music. So go ahead. Let's go with Nick's match here.
I mean, I just want to start it off with I'm calling this the most dangerous question. So we've all been in meetings. Slides are going on the board. Whoa, data looks good. But I don't think we're really gathering anything from it. Who's the person in the room that's going to make sure that we're not having a meeting about a meeting, and we're trying to get better at everything we do and every aspect of what we do. So I like to call it the most dangerous question. There are tons of examples of it, but you have to be the person in the room. You don't have to be. I'm just suggesting that you should be if you want to go against the grain. That's going to ask the question. So some examples of a most dangerous question is. If we were starting this company from scratch, is this what you pictured we would be doing in meetings? I think that's a pretty dangerous question to ask. Another one, is we can get scared from too much data. Is the data great? What action are we going to take from this behavior? Like, what behavior are we going to build from this data? So there's always got to be somebody in the room that's willing to do that. Generally, that's me or John. John, do you have any good examples of a most dangerous question?
No, this is Nick's Mash, so I don't. I'm going to go against the grain here, against you, and kick and push back and say I don't want to contribute to this. This is I like what you're saying. I like that most dangerous question. I think that's great advice. As long as it's not you know something that's going to be unethical or
Yeah,
illegal.
it's not about being contrarian. It's about adding value, right? Um,
Yes.
I think that's the key. If you're just there to be a contrarian and just I'm trying to not curse here. Just be an asshole to
It's
be an
okay.
asshole. I think that's where you got to draw the line, right? Like I'm not going to
Mhm.
speak up if I'm not going to add value. So it's all about the value add for me. If I can add value in any questions I'm going to have, I'm going to do it. There are things that are very valuable to me in my life. One of them's time, and I think everyone here can agree that there's a lot of time wasted in meetings that we could otherwise use during other things. So that's typically when I interject with the most dangerous question to proceed the meeting forward or to potentially get a final, a final say on what the final outcome is going to be of the meeting.
All right. There you go. Great advice. That's a great Nick Smash. Ask the dangerous question. So, and speaking of time, Nick, we're out of time, so we're going to wrap things up. That is it for episode one. I hope folks liked it, and we're just kicking into gear. So we're going to keep improving on this podcast and making it more and more interesting, and hopefully something that people want to tune into. So thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Consider it mashed.
Business lessons, life, and liquor. Until next time, stay honest, stay curious, and never be afraid to go against the grain. And remember, life's about choices.